Hi, I'm Beverly Banwell Brown, and this is probably one of the most serious of all the serious videos that I've done in the series on narcissistic relationships, and also on either mindful parenting or parenting with heart. And it, of course, is totally intertwined. Mindful parenting, parenting with heart, narcissistic relationships, and how covert narcissism can affect a family. In my work as an intuitive and as a life and relationship coach and also a love mentor for over 30 years now, starting back in New York City in the 80s, I've seen occasions when, and this is the good news, somebody who has engaged in covert narcissistic behaviors can be helped, can identify what's going on, can understand what it is about the child that may be triggering him. It can also happen with mothers, with aunts, with grandparents who engage in narcissistic behavior because they may be wonderful parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles to some children in the family, and usually there's one who's scapegoated, one who, because of their appearance or their mannerisms, or certain behavior qualities, certain energetics, are triggering that old unfinished business with their primary caregivers that has left them in a painful situation where so much of their motivation for all the good they do in their lives is outer directed. It's done for effect. It's done to make everything look good, to keep everything level, smooth, uneventful, to basically control the environment as much as possible so that there will be an absolute minimum of stress, strife, and strain for the covert narcissist. If you have a partner who you suspect has this particular challenge, let me tell you, I have seen cases where the person had sufficient awareness, sufficient consciousness, that he was behaving in a way that was abusive to this one child in the family. He hated himself for doing it. He didn't know how to stop. And when someone did intervene in a very loving and gentle way, a non-confrontational way, which is the key in many cases to having any degree of success with overt or covert narcissists, because confrontation will often feel like an attack, and even if it's benevolently intended and non-accusatory, they will often stonewall, which means they'll basically disappear on you in one way or another. So in this particular case, I'm remembering the father was willing to get some help, to go for some professional guidance and support. He was able to identify eventually who this child had the misfortune of reminding him of, and see that in fact the child was a gift on every level. Not only because the child was wonderful, as most children are, as all children are really, in their essence. He was also a gift because he was showing, in this case his father, an area of deep wounding emotionally and psychologically, which had resulted in great pain, great sorrow, and a life up to that point where all the good, beautiful things he did, the volunteer work, the fine work at his career, the generosity that he often showed to various charities, the loving kindness, actually, and sensitivity that he had for many people who were in underdog situations in life. All of that had been motivated not by a deep, benevolent inner resource and desire to be of loving kindness and service, but rather to create an impression, to create a sense that he was very special, that he was extraordinary, and that he was to be admired. And once he came to understand and stop belittling his child and start being able to see the child as the child was, in the child's own uniqueness. And the confusion between the child who was triggering the old behaviors and the old rage that he felt towards his primary caregiver, once that was all healed, the other beautiful thing that happened was that he kept doing all the wonderful volunteer work. He kept making significant donations as he could afford to various charities. He kept doing beautiful work in his career, and the need for the brand new shiny cars full of every imaginable gadget stopped. The feeling of having to create this extraordinary impression that everything was just magnificent in his life all the time stopped. And he was able to be more inner directed, to have more of a sense of inner peace. This is a best case scenario situation I just described to you. I offer it because I want you to understand that there is always hope, and there is always loving support and help available. And if you have suspicions that this is the case in your life or someone close to you, please understand this video and all the series that I do are strictly offered educationally. It's a sharing. It is not designed or intended ever to replace professional care and guidance. Now, what are some of the things that you look for so you'll know that you're dealing with a covert narcissist who's picking on a child in some abusive way, either subtly or overtly? Number one, I like to call these golden nuggets. Number one is to look at the behavior about how he's treating, or she, as the case may be, is treating one or possibly two of the children in a multiple child family, or one child, if it's an only child family, one child family. Does the behavior seem unseemly, abusive, disrespectful? Is there hitting? Is there shoving? Is there pushing? Is there a threatening demeanor? Are there things said that are hurtful to that child? Are there times when the covert narcissist behaves well? For example, when company is present, when you're present. Does the school have any complaints about stories the child may have told, or has the child been sufficiently terrified and catastrophized so that the child is keeping everything bottled up inside and is too afraid to speak because they're afraid of retribution from the parent? Another thing to look for, next golden nugget, do you feel intuitively that something is going on that feels really wrong, really off balance, something that keeps you up at night worrying? If this is the case, please contact your local agency if that feels right to you. Consider, before you take any rash action, going within, getting quiet, getting still, listening to the 46th Psalm, peace, be still, and know. And I would like to reverse golden nugget order here, that really, I believe, is always the first thing to do. My approach, as most of you who've seen my other videos know, is a deeply spiritual-based one. So I would always ask you to pray. Pray first. Pray in the middle of a situation. Pray last. Pray always, with the intention of making your life into a moving experience of reverence for the sacredness of all life. And that means having compassion for your partner, even though you may feel incredibly concerned and disillusioned by the behavior that you've been sensing or hearing or seeing. This person is evidencing behavior that is monstrous, perhaps, and unacceptable, because there's no excuse ever for abuse, especially not to a child who often can't defend themselves adequately. So even though you may feel outraged about the way they're behaving, and you do have a definite responsibility to do something in defense of and protectiveness of the child's well-being, please do it from that place of understanding that the person who's doing the perpetrating has also suffered and needs help. The behavior may be backwards, which is evil. The word live spelled backwards is evil. But they, in their essence, have good qualities and have done wonderful things also. So please try to keep that balanced perspective, because it will actually, in the long run, help everybody involved in the situation. Please remember, next golden nugget, that you're not alone in this. There is help available. And yes, you have to reach out and ask for it. This is tough stuff. I feel for you. If you're watching this video, please know all of you are in my very loving and caring prayers every single day for healing, for a balancing of the energies so that a fresh start can happen in whatever way is for the best and highest good of you and your family and all involved. Until next time, I'm Beverly Banor Brown. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to my channel, Beverly Banor Brown MS. And please leave me a like below the YouTube screen if you've enjoyed any part of this, even if you think I'm full of it. Some people do, not too many apparently, but you always have the right to disagree with me. It's all good. As long as it makes you think, as long as it makes you ponder some other possibility that you may never have thought about before, I consider it to be somewhat successful. And if you agree with me, I'd love to know that too. I care about each and every one of you, whether I ever get to meet you in person or not, or work with you professionally or not. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we are building a very warm and loving, mutually caring community here on this YouTube channel. And I pray that it helps you in some wonderful way. All right then. Bye for now, and many beautiful and bright blessings. Until next time.